Wrong place at the wrong time. That's what the mother of Caleb Bepler said after her son was shot and killed outside of Liquid Currency Bar earlier this month. Caleb's mother, family, and friends talked to our Yazmin Rodriguez about his life and the impact he's leaving behind.
I think he touched a lot of people's lives. I didn't actually realize how many people's lives he touched until he passed.
I just hope he knows how much he changed this place, how much he changed the people's lives he was in.
Family and friends of Caleb Bepler all shared the same sentiment when it came to the type of man he was. Caleb was a longtime resident of Johnstown, attending the Greater Johnstown School District until he moved to South Carolina for his senior year. He returned back to Johnstown, working for a nursing home where he began pursuing his passion for nursing. But greater than that, his mom says he was a loving son, brother, and friend.
My son was a great man. He was very funny, and he had a good sense of humor, and he was the clown of our family.
I just wanted to say that Caleb was genuinely the light in everybody's life.
Now his family and friends are left trying to pick up the pieces after his death, and the one question on his mother's mind is, why did this happen?
It was a very senseless killing, and that man didn't even know my son to do that to him. I've been searching for 11 days, a reason why, and I cannot find one. Because at the end of the day, he gets to walk around and see his kids, even from jail, and my son's never coming home.
As authorities still search for the suspect in Caleb's murder, his mother has a plea for the community.
I would appreciate if the community and surrounding areas, if you have any information whether this man is, we would appreciate any information that leads to his arrest. I just need him found to have some peace. I need him found to have some peace.
She had this to say to her son.
Well, he was a great person, and we miss him, and I'm sorry. I wish I could have saved him. I couldn't. So I want him to know I'm sorry.
Caleb's family tells me they also wanted to thank the community for their support, both emotionally and financially. She says she was overwhelmed to see the line outside his funeral last Thursday. Reporting for 6 News, I'm Yazmin Rodriguez.
It has been 16 years since authorities responded to a fire at a Sykesville home, and after that fire was put out, the remains of a 6-week-old baby were discovered, and his mother, Joey Lynn Offit, was missing.
Also missing was Offit's car, leading police to wonder where she was. Years later, that question still remains. Yazmin Rodriguez spoke with her sister and tells us how Offit's family is still holding on to hope.
It was the early morning hours of July 12th when Joey Lynn Offit seemingly disappeared without a trace. Investigators find her home ablaze and the remains of her newborn son, Alexis Brolin III. A few days later, investigators find her car parked at a State College apartment complex where she used to live. But 16 years later, no Offit and no new evidence of where she could be or what could have happened. It's been almost 2 decades, but the search for Joey Lynn Offit continues as her family and state police still continue to search for the missing Sykesville woman. With so much time passing, the pain her family feels still deepening.
Personally, it's hell. Not that it isn't any other time, but yeah, I don't know. It doesn't get any easier, I can tell you that.
Offit has not been heard from since July 5th, 2007, but the investigation into her disappearance started a week later on July 12th when authorities respond to that fire at Offit's home. That same morning, Alexis Brolin Jr., the father of her youngest children, reports her missing. Investigation into the fire reveals her son had died before the blaze began, and the state fire marshal ruling the fire as arson.
Well, police continue their search for a missing woman whose house was destroyed by a fire late last week. People in the neighborhood where her car was found say officials have been canvassing the area, asking them what they know about the case.
But what the investigation doesn't reveal is where Offit is and when and even who parked her car at that State College apartment complex. Since her disappearance, there have been many theories circulating about what happened to her. Theories her sister says just cannot be true.
I thought it was an abduction. The cop wasn't sure.
No, I knew that from the very first day of the fire when we were up there. I told the who were investigating the case at that time. I said, I know that scenario, statistics and things like that, would state that, she did this, she had something to do with it and things. But I was like, please don't look at it like that. Not in this case.
Offit's oldest sister described the kind of woman she was, saying she was naive and her kindness could have led her to her disappearance.
She trusted everyone. No matter what they told you, they're telling the truth. Mm-hmm. They had, she just didn't get that part. She didn't have that part of her that would question somebody's story.
But her sister remembers her more than anything as a devoted mother, active community member, and a friendly woman.
And she was the kind of person to, for example, wherever she lived, she would get involved, the local church and stuff. She was always the one who would be volunteering herself for stuff.
Offit's family keeps her memory alive by posting any updates and on birthdays, holidays, and the anniversary of her disappearance on social media sites like their Help Find Joey Lynn Offit Facebook page and their website, jowyoffit.org, hoping for any new news on this years-long cold case.
Other than just repeatedly posting her pictures and her story, there wasn't a whole lot I can do. Like I said, it's a cold case. There is no new news.
The theories on Offit's disappearance have spawned several crime podcasts. In fact, one of those in New York has taken legal action against Jefferson County. The podcast, operated by AudioChuck Podcast Network, has filed right-to-know requests asking for the death records of baby Alexis. The Pennsylvania Office of Open Records ruled in favor of releasing the information, but the county has appealed that decision. Last month, the court ruled against the podcast, ordering the records not to be released. The county has not answered our questions about this legal fight. As the investigation into Offit's disappearance remains open, her family just has one plea for the public.
I want my sister's body. I know my sister is dead. I know somebody knows where she is. They know what they did with her. And I just want her remains. I want her remains so I can get peace and closure to my nieces and my mother and myself. I made a stupid promise to my then 9-year-old niece that I would bury her mom and her baby brother together. And she holds me to it still.
Anyone with information can call state police in Punxsutawney. The family of Joey Lynn Offit has also set up a toll-free phone number you can call with any tips. Those numbers are listed both at the bottom of your screen. Reporting for 6 News, I'm Yazmin Rodriguez. A string of these fall school shooting threats have been instilling fear in districts across the country as it grapples with recent mass shootings. That fear happening in multiple counties here, and officials I spoke with say it was a wake-up call.
Please stand by for a possible shooting. Bishop Carroll High School, Ben Franklin Highway, Kimber Township.
There's possibly an active shooter at the senior high school.
506. I'm right here by the high school. What is it?
Copy 506. We don't have anything specific other than he told us it was a white male. There are to be 6 victims in the bathroom, and we have not got anything further. We lost contact with him. We don't know what bathroom he's in.
Those were the calls that sent local law enforcement and area school districts into immediate lockdown. Just days after 6 people were shot and killed at a Nashville elementary school. The threat of an active school shooter shocked fear in multiple schools, both nationally and locally. These calls were later determined to be swatting calls. Now, swatting calls are defined as...
It's a prank call essentially to an emergency service to get to a desired address and get an obviously high volume of police presence at a specific place.
District Attorney Greg Niebauer says these swatting calls present 2 big issues.
The issues with swatting calls are sort of twofold. One, it creates alarm and panic in administrators, teachers, parents, and worst of all, children. And then the second part is the resources that respond to those things. Law enforcement, fire, EMS, obviously everyone cares so much about the safety and health of our kids that obviously we have to take every single one of those calls very, very serious.
He also says just hearing that call was emotionally draining.
You respond to that call thinking, what am I about to go see? How many kids are hurt? Is someone else going to get hurt? Everything runs through your mind, and it is very taxing.
One of the schools affected was the Altoona Area School District, the biggest district in Blair County, generating a large response from county law enforcement. Officials in the school district commended the swift response of local law enforcement, but also noted how these fake calls were also a learning opportunity.
And it presented us with a real-life opportunity to check our procedures and protocols and to evaluate where we were as a school and as a district.
Officials I spoke with could not specify any new procedures and protocols put in place after the incident, but everyone I spoke with said it allowed for change and communication within school districts and even within local law enforcement.
It was an opportunity to see if our protocols would work, see if our other collaboration with law enforcement was well worth it and well within our realms, which we did do. So it was a catch-22 to make sure that we made sure that the threat was not an actual threat, and we also wanted to make sure that our protocols were in place and effective.
The one theme across the board was the amazing response each county had when those initial calls began to come in.
The response from law enforcement led by our team, as well as the collaboration that we have with other local law enforcement, showed how amazing that relationship can be. I mean, we had over 70 officers on scene within 15 minutes.
I can say the response that we saw to our local swatting calls was incredible. It wasn't perfect, but we're able to learn from it.
Unfortunately, this is a trend that continues to happen nationally.
Swatting, calling 911 and making false claims of violence or shooting incidents.
Hoax 911 calls were made to several state police barracks across New York.
Omaha police say they received a call just before 9 o'clock this morning about an active shooter at Omaha South High School.
And officials say if these swatting calls happen again, they will be treated as serious as the first time and investigated thoroughly because
I don't want to be that person to blow off a call or say that, it's a hoax again. The minute you do that, bad things are going to happen.
The investigation into these calls is ongoing, and DA Niebauer says the FBI has now taken over that investigation.
Now, Trooper Christopher Fox also told me that his troop does provide a run, fight, hide PowerPoint presentation. He says it's important to be trained on these situations, and this presentation is available for anyone who is interested. All you have to do is contact them at 814-696-6100. Service dogs. We've heard of them for veterans. We've heard of them for those with disabilities, but now they're becoming more common in schools. Here's how it works in the Winber Area School District.
This is Vanna. Vanna is a facility service dog who's been in the Winber Area School District for 4 years. This is her first year at the high school after previously being with the elementary school. As cute as it seems, you may be asking yourself, how can a service dog help students?
I brought her to the school system because I realized that young children really had a lot of educational barriers that were preventing them from learning, and I thought that she would help to support that process and make them comfortable in their school setting.
Kimberly Moore, principal at the Winber Area High School, tells me Vanna was trained for 3 years as a facility service dog before being incorporated into the school system. Vanna can do tasks and cues to help people with disabilities or mental health issues to support them, and even serves as an icebreaker barrier for issues when students don't want to work or talk with adults.
We all have to have a lot of tools in our toolbox in order to meet the needs in education right now, and she's just one component of that.
And students I spoke with all had the same sentiment when it came to Vanna being around.
Being able to just come in and if I have a bad day already, coming over into Mrs. Thomas's room and just saying hi Vanna, and she comes rushing over, it's just such a, it makes the start of the day better.
It puts everyone at ease because it makes the classroom have more of a homey feel.
It makes me feel more comfortable being here, and really it just makes me more motivated to learn.
And it's not just the students who say having Vanna around boosts morale. Cassie Thomas, the 12th grade and AP English teacher at the high school, says seeing Vanna's excited wagging tail waiting for her gives a nice boost to come to school.
when you're a teacher and you have so many responsibilities and there's so much going on with kids. And it's just really comforting to have her in here and fun. And it's nice to walk in every morning and have, somebody that is really excited to see you.
Besides the occasional finger licks, Vanna provides a sense of comfortability in students to engage more in the classroom.
It's really helped. I've noticed like my classes discuss and talk maybe more than they would on a normal year because she's here, and it just like ups the comfort level really for all of the kids.
Vanna is also used in therapy sessions within the school, something that clinical studies have shown are very beneficial. The clinical mental health counselor at the Winber Area High School says almost every student she works with also works with Vanna.
I have a lot of students that specifically request Vanna, especially if they're really escalated, with anxiety or some kind of strong emotion. And a lot of times, they'll just sit on the floor with her. And Vanna, it's just incredible to watch. She'll just sit, and Vanna can just sense it that they need her.
Yoder says human connection doesn't always feel safe, especially to students, but a dog just shows its unconditional love and affection, and it teaches students how to interact in a loving way. But overall, the impacts of Vanna can be felt by everyone, and Principal Moore says this is something more school districts in our area should have.
100%. I'm surprised that more schools have not attempted to have a service dog in their school. I really recommend that schools take that next step and go through the process of getting a facility service dog.
Reporting for 6 News, I'm Yazmin Rodriguez.
A student survey in the Westmont Hilltop School District has parents asking questions tonight.
The district says it's a survey to get information on students' attitudes about their school and classroom work.
But as Yazmin Rodriguez discovered in this Crisis in the Classroom report, some parents want more transparency on what's being asked and what's being done with the data.
On Tuesday, parents received this letter informing them of their child's participation in a brief survey to assist the district in uncovering and addressing the social and emotional barrier that affects the well-being of the students. In the letter, parents are given the option to opt their child out of the survey called the Pupil Attitudes to Self and School Survey, or PASS. According to the Pass for Schools website, PASS helps identify fragile learners who are held back by factors such as a lack of confidence, motivation, or connection to the school. Students are asked to respond with yes a lot, yes somewhat, no not much, or no not at all.
They phrase it so that it seems to be innocuous and that it's just for the benefit of the kids. No, it's not.
The site goes on to say by uncovering how students feel about themselves in school, educators can give them the support they need to thrive. But Patrick O'Connor, a parent in the district, says the questions the survey asked are invasive.
These are questions that should be asked by medical professionals with the parents' consent.
But this is not the first time the district has given the PASS survey to its students. According to Superintendent Mitchell, the survey was first given back in March of this year. But according to O'Connor, the parents that opted into the survey in March never received data from that survey.
I said no, but did other parents get the results back from March? No, no one did. That's just it. They're using it for themselves. What are you doing with the data? Where is it going to? Is it going to the state, to the Department of Education, to some company who owns the data?
According to Superintendent Mitchell, the vendor will not permit the district to release the survey in its entirety to the public based on the company's proprietary rules. O'Connor tells me he reached out to the school to see the questions students will be asked, and out of the 50 questions on the survey, he was only given a sample of 5.
I do believe this is being handed down from the state. I do believe that, from the Department of Education. However, that does not justify the lack of transparency. And why tell us you can only have 4 questions? Why? And again, where's the data? Where's the feedback for the data?
Superintendent Mitchell gave me a sample of questions on the survey for 3rd to 12th graders. All of the questions are similar. They ask, can you do your homework easily? Do you find schoolwork too difficult? And do you worry about getting your work right?
If you look at the way that's phrased, right, emotional and social welfare of the students, that's a parental role. That's not their role.
I asked Superintendent Mitchell why the survey is given, and he provided me the following statement saying, quote, "We are constantly working to increase our students' academic success and safety. The PASS survey measures both students' attitudes toward themselves as learners and their school. Past plays a role in helping uncover social and emotional barriers that, if left unaddressed, can undermine a student's well-being and academic success or potentially lead to security concerns. Through the survey results, we have been able to improve areas that students identify, leading to a stronger connection and sense of belonging for students to their school and classmates. O'Connor tells me he's taken legal action to make sure the past survey stops in the school district.
I'm very concerned that they present it as one thing and it's something different. They're digging. And it's not a one-time thing.
As of now, the district is planning to give the survey again to its students in May. Reporting for 6 News, I'm Yazmin Rodriguez.
Parents in the Westmont Hilltop School District expressed concerns about the lack of safety in the school district.
Yazmin Rodriguez spoke with some parents and the school district about those issues in tonight's Crisis in the Classroom.
Following what investigators have called a foiled school shooting plot, parents have expressed concern and anger about the district's plan to address safety threats. They say they feel more should have been done immediately following the incident and still feel not enough is being done.
We cannot presume that just because this is Westmont that they're going to be safe.
Every time we come across a school shooting, we think the phrase, "that couldn't happen here." But police say it almost did happen in the Westmont Hilltop School District back in December of 2021. That's when investigators say they uncovered a school shooting plot inside the high school. After this situation unfolded, parents began to question the safety measures at the school district.
You don't want to turn it into a lockdown situation or a quasi-prison system. You want to let kids be kids, but you have to implement security policies and procedures that are realistic for our day and age.
Westmont Hilltop School District Superintendent Thomas Mitchell declined to go on camera. However, he did release statements regarding safety in the district. Mitchell says immediately following the incident, the school district engaged in an evaluation of their response by their security consult, who made procedural adjustments based on recommendations. But according to one grandparent in the district, Darlene Geist, the topic of hiring a police presence in schools was presented to parents a while back, so she feels confusion as to why the process took so long.
They had school resource officers or school police officers on the agenda for a year or two before this all happened, and they drug their feet.
The West Hills and Upper Yoder police departments have been present at the high school daily since December of 2021. Over the summer, the school district requested 2 school resource officers from West Hills and Upper Yoder. West Hills agreed to provide officers, but was unable to hire the additional officers, so rescinded the offer to the school district.
All police departments are having a hard time. And, you know, we went to both of our police departments, West Hills and Upper Yoder, and they couldn't furnish us with school resource officers. And this is all over the United States, this is happening.
So the school district contracted Giddings Security Incorporated to provide armed security guards for each building, along with the hiring of a school police officer. Rob Gleason, president of the Westmont School Board, says $285,000 was just given to the district in state funding for more security efforts.
It's a number one priority of the school district, the school board, is that we have a very solid, strong security program, and I feel pretty good about it.
Officials in the school district stress the safety measures currently in place are more than sufficient, but that's where parents disagree.
We are below the bare minimum at this point in time at Westmont Hilltop. That's all there is to it.
We need metal detectors, we need the door locks, and we need more cooperation from the administration to implement everything that they have good going right now. They need to implement and follow through.
So those in the school district took matters in their own hands and created a Facebook group called Concerned Citizens of Westmont Hilltop School District. Their parents, guardians, and even just concerned citizens post and even gather monthly to discuss any issues that may arise within the district. Those in the group say they've spoken out at school board meetings and have reached out to school administration to see change, but they have not been receptive.
We want things to change, and we believe that, sadly, that between the administration and the board, nothing is going to change unless they're replaced.
I'm happy to discuss this with anybody. I'll go to any meetings, but we can't get into the weeds on it. We cannot tell them what we are doing.
In his statement, Superintendent Mitchell also said, quote, district and building level administration will meet with any family of a student to privately discuss their child or their concerns. School employees are not permitted to discuss or release information about our students.
Now, another issue regarding safety in the Westmont Hilltop School District is the lack of cell phone service. The board is taking steps to ensure a cell phone tower is placed in the neighborhood, going as far as suing those who are blocking the building of a cell phone tower because it changes the aesthetic of the town. Reporting for 6 News, I'm Yazmin Rodriguez. We've heard the term teacher shortage multiple times since the start of the pandemic, but officials I spoke with say here in Pennsylvania, it's been an issue for over a decade. The pandemic just highlighting how important of an issue it really is.
It's not just the instruction. That's the easy part of teaching. It's all the other things that go along with being a teacher. All those in combination make teaching a difficult profession.
According to Eric Haggerty, the acting Secretary of Education here in Pennsylvania, 10 years ago, 20,000 new teachers were entering the field each year, whereas last year, only 6,000 did. But data suggests that drop was not fueled by the pandemic. In fact, in the 3 years before COVID arrived, Pennsylvania granted an average of 7,350 education certifications per year.
I think it was 2008 when tens of thousands of teachers were being furloughed across the state, I think due to lack of funding. And from that point forward, that's where it started. Don't go into education.
Current teachers have indicated multiple reasons for the shortage, from everything like low compensation, costs of certification, public support, and just the overall interest in the job. This is especially true in the Ferndale School District.
We get single-digit applicants. Sometimes we're lucky to get one. So I've definitely seen a drop-off in the last couple of years.
Right now in 2022, the teacher shortage is specifically impacting core subjects like English and math and early childhood and elementary education.
Secondary positions right now, and specialty positions, they've been difficult to find. We're lucky if we get 5 applicants, and even in some cases, any applicants.
Because of these issues, the Pennsylvania Department of Education released a strategic plan called the Pennsylvania Educator Workforce Strategy. That plan aims to recruit and retain educators, build a more diverse workforce, and reduce barriers to entering the profession.
So we developed this strategy, released a couple months ago, to help ensure that we have a robust pipeline of teachers for years to come.
The plan aims to complete its goals by 2025, something Secretary Haggerty says is realistic, and Superintendent Boyer is looking forward to.
I do like the idea of somebody has a plan together and they're thinking 2025. It's not a 10-year goal, it's a 3-year goal.
One step that the Department of Education has already taken is the elimination of the basic skills test for 3 years as part of the school code that Governor Wolf signed into law this summer. That's not the only new change.
We're also now allowing for teachers who've been certified in other states to move to Pennsylvania and get plugged right into a classroom, whereas before they would have had to go through an entire new certification process. We're also extending the ability for schools to bring back retirees.
The plan highlights 5 main focus points. The first being focusing on different workforces in rural, urban, and suburban school districts. The Department of Education says different issues lay in different types of school districts, so different resources are needed. The second main point is reflecting student population. According to Secretary Haggerty, less than 7% of teachers here in the state are people of color. Meanwhile, students of color make up 37%.
That's the part I don't know when I read this plan. Like, how do you control and market who goes into the field or who goes to college, and how that all works out in the end to where you have an applicant?
But Acting Secretary Haggerty says there's an answer to that.
It starts with, of course, partnering with our historically black colleges and universities in Pennsylvania, partnering with organizations that specialize in recruiting and retaining diverse candidates in education, and we've begun a lot of that work.
The third focus point is reducing the certification process from 10 weeks to 15 days.
The certification process, I often hear, is not necessarily a barrier, but a roadblock, because it takes so long and it's difficult to get information from PDE often. And it's no fault of their own. They're understaffed as well. But the whole process of the certification sometimes takes months.
And the fourth and fifth focus points tie in together, making excellent experiences and more meaningful professional opportunities.
It's not just that we have to recruit more teachers. We got to keep the teachers in the system who enter it to begin with. Because if you've got, if you think about a bucket with a hole in it, you can pour all the water you want into that bucket, but if it still keeps leaking, you've got a problem there. Sometimes it can feel like when you do, continuing education credit hours and things like that, it can feel like you're just doing it for compliance sake, as opposed to something that actually, is helping you grow as a person, and we've really got to improve that.
According to a recent report compiled by the Department of Education, based on teacher feedback, teachers do not feel like they have the professional development and adequate resources to continue further in their career as a teacher.